It's a bird. It's a plane. No, it's the 300th episode of ITCAF Podcast. Oh my goodness, man. Oh man,
Yes.
rocking and rolling. We feel great to be back from our summer vacation. And boy, oh boy, so many great things happening in Hollywood. Oh my goodness. There is a little tiny, teeny tiny movie that came out this weekend. There is coming out this weekend. It's the one and only dun, 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 Superman.
Oh yeah, and look, guys, the box office is back. That is for sure. How long will it last? Will we see this carry over into next year and the year after? We're hoping, right? As cinephiles and loyal filmmakers ourselves, this is what we want. But it is undeniable. The box office has been booming since the start of summer, and we could not be more excited about it. We can't wait to dive in and talk all about that, y'all. But yeah, it's a little milestone episode for us. 300. 300! Can't even believe that. Can you? So, guys, 2018. January of 2018, we kicked off this thing. 7.5 years ago, we are in our 8th season, and what a ride, bro! What a ride! 228 guests that we've interviewed over the 300 episode. I can't even believe it.
Yes, it's amazing. It's amazing. And we're going to be reminiscing about some of our favorite moments, some huge things that happened in the world, the entertainment industry that, kind of shut everything down. I mean, there's two things in particular. I'm sure y'all can guess them,
Yeah.
but we're going to be talking all about big milestone moments in the world that may or may not have affected the podcast. We're going to be talking about some memories. We're going to be talking about guests, of course, and so many different things. But that is later on the show. Now, let's get a little crazy. What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Did y'all see that? What?
Let's just throw Scream 6 in there for like
It
my
was
favorite
good.
movie. It was really good. The best of the franchise, in my opinion, since the first one.
Yeah. What's up, guys? Oh my goodness, episode 300.
Woo!
And you guys know your host with the most, myself, J. Logan Austin, aka JLo Fantastic, and of course, Dustin M. Bergman, aka The Mouth.
Yes. What's
Man, oh
up?
man, woo! We're just super excited about it. Super excited about it. But first, I would like to raise a glass. Raise a glass so we can cheer to this bad boy. 300 episodes.
Yes.
Obviously, we like each other, and I wouldn't want to do it with anyone else, my man.
Same. I just, oh my gosh, yeah, man. It's been an absolute honor doing this with you, and one of the greatest parts of my life, truly, because the change that I've seen in you since that first episode to now has just been really miraculous to watch. You've literally gone from like a young guy to a grown adult. The personality shift, the maturity, the coming out of your shell, the finding who you are, just to be able to witness that and be a part of that over these 7.5 years, it's just been a really special part of my life. Yeah, I couldn't imagine doing it with anybody else, bro.
It's crazy, man. So yes, here's to us, and here's to all of you for been listening since day one, or if you're newish or a midway through person. Thank
Yeah,
you so
yeah.
much. We love to thank all of you. But of course, before we dive into our thoughts and opinions on Superman, the
What?
summer
What?
blockbuster of the year, we have to say, please, please, please be sure to leave a rating on the show. Comment down below. Tell us what you actually think about this podcast. Because if you didn't know, leaving a rating on ITCAF Podcast comment section, on Threads, Twitter, any of the places where we have an ITCAF Podcast profile, it helps more people who are breaking into the entertainment news, are breaking into the entertainment industry, find this show,
Yes.
or those who enjoy entertainment news find this show. Us here at Crazy Ant Media are all about lending the helping hand, and that's what we do through this podcast, through our mental health podcast, and everything that we do. So please be sure to spread the word, comment, share, all the good things. But yes, man, oh man, one more piece of business before we dive into our thoughts and opinions. Of course, be sure to visit our website, www.crazyantmedia.com, where you can start rocking the latest and greatest Crazy Ant Media gear. We got a little bit of something for a little bit of everyone. Man, oh man, it's a great freaking summer, and we have those summer essentials right there for you at
Yes.
crazyantmedia.com. Okay, the time has come. Superman. It seems like a lot of
Finally.
people have gone to the theaters and already seen it. What, the last time I checked, 22.5
Yeah,
million?
no,
And
55 million and counting now. Yeah,
wow,
yeah.
okay.
It's officially counting the Thursday and Friday. It's at 55 plus million, well on its way to over 100
Ooh,
million domestically, over 200 million worldwide for the opening. So yeah, it's soaring. No pun intended, but it is. Look up, absolutely look up because it's flying, man.
that's for sure. And I wanted to do a nice little like minute review of, or at least my personal review of Superman. And I know we're gonna do the same thing for you, even though yours will probably be a little longer than a minute. But hey, it's okay, it's fine. But I took this seriously. I wrote it down
Well,
and
see, you wrote
everything.
it down. That's why.
Yeah.
See, but I gotta, you know me. This is like so personal to me, so I have to go from the cuff. But yeah, I can't wait to hear what you have. I can't. Let's
Of
go.
course, of course. First off, first things first, Superman. Oh my goodness. Of course, everybody knows, and I've made it very vocal on this podcast. I wasn't the biggest Superman fan, so to come into this film, I really didn't know what to expect. I loved James Gunn. I loved what he did, obviously, with Marvel and with the Suicide Squad on the DC side of things. But I think this might be the most important DC movie in over a decade. And I personally believe that it delivers. Now, if you guys follow my Letterboxd page or my TikTok page, you know how I break down my reviews. We're going to get points in story, cinematography, acting, pacing, and feeling after I leave the theater. So the story, I gave it a point. Of course, right out of the gate, the story moves so fast and it barely lets up through the entire freaking film.
Mm.
It's an action meets politics. If you go to the other side of the superhero genre, it's very much along the same tone and storyline as Captain America Brave New World. And honestly, it's one of the best DC storylines in the last 10 or 15 years, in my opinion. And high stakes, constant engagement, and this could be the movie that saves the DCU. So that is very exciting. And when it comes to the cinematography, I also give it another point. James Gunn brought the color back to the DCU with an epic monster battles that honestly were super freaking stunning. And then if we have the Fortress of Solitude, which was my favorite cinematic part of the entire film. And then, I mean, who didn't love that final flying hug with Lois? That almost brought me to tears. I'm not even gonna lie to you. It was perfect eye candy in the best way. Acting gets another point because David Cornsweet and Rachel Brosnahan nailed, in my opinion, Lois and Clark's dynamic. You felt the humanity. You felt, especially during the apartment interview scene, that's by far my favorite scene in the entire movie because I feel like it was 5 to 8 minutes of them just going at each other, back and forth, back and forth. And David Superman, I definitely feel like it was pure hearted, it was believable and real. But I do wish that we had a little bit more of nerdy Clark. We got one scene in particular in the beginning, and that's kind of all we got of Clark. So I wish we did get to see a little bit more of that. But I do give the acting a point. The pacing, like I said, it's fast. At some points, it feels almost too fast, but no dull moments throughout the entire thing. I just wish they slowed it down a little bit so it let things breathe a little bit more, but that wasn't enough to take any points away. So I gave that one another point. And then the feeling overall when I walked out of the theater, I absolutely loved it. Already planning a second watch because my wife, your daughter, has not seen it yet, and
Yeah.
she made me promise that I would take her back to the theater to see it. So I'm super excited to go back and watch it one more time. And this movie might have just reignited DC fans' hope for this cinematic universe. Overall, this is my first film of the year to earn a 5 out of 5. I don't care what else says. This is a great, phenomenal, fun, fantastic driven story. So yeah, I loved Superman. This is my Superman now.
All right. So, okay. All right. All right. All right. All right.
A
All right.
lot
All
to
right.
unpack there. A
No,
lot to
no,
unpack. Like I said, I
but
wanted it to be in a written form, so I had
you
my places all in one.
But you saw me nod a couple of times.
I
So I
did.
cannot give this 5 out of 5 stars. I
Well, I know
cannot
you
give
can't.
this
Yeah.
a 10 out of 10. I'll give it an 8 or 8.5 solid out of 10 or 4 out of 5 stars. And the reason being is because of a couple of the things that you said that I wholeheartedly agree with. Let me first start by saying that John Papsidera is probably the most significant casting director in the past 20 years. This was spot on casting, and which I think was crucial. If you're going to relaunch the DCU, specifically Superman, with the icon that Christopher Reeve still is, it's an almost impossible task, and you would hear James Gunn himself say that. So John Papsidera, under unbelievable pressure, nailed it. Every single person in this cast fit perfectly. I think that was number one, outstanding. Number two, I'm with you. The look, the feel, the aesthetic, the color of the film, every bit of it I loved. This is what we expect Superman to be. Bright, hopeful, cheery, even in the darkest of moments. You know, you have that gleam of light, that hope. It nails that. It's spot on. I think the acting, without doubt, goes hand in hand with what I said about the casting. Phenomenal. But let me dive into a little bit about issues that I had. And one of them is exactly what you brought up. I think that Corn Sweat, excuse me, dove straight in. He referenced the fact that Tom Welling was his favorite Superman or his favorite interpretation. But he also understood Christopher Reeve and the importance of Christopher Reeve. And you can tell, by the way, for anybody out there, this is going to contain tons of spoilers as we continue to talk about it. So you are warned. You can tell that he took very seriously the humanity struggle that Tom Welling, I felt, always brought really well to the Clark character, trying to figure out how to be human amongst these humans when you're an alien. And he understood the purpose of Superman is different than Clark. And he played so heavily into that Christopher Reeve interpretation beautifully, yet made it completely his own, which I thought he nailed. So that leads me to what you said. I wanted to see more of Clark. I liked how he kind of cowered down, the shift in the voice, he thinks he's cool when they're ragging on him, but he kind of laughs it off. I really, really liked the interpretation of his nerdy Clark, if you will. And I agree with you that I think one of my favorite scenes throughout the entire movie, I'm not going to say my favorite scene, but definitely one of my favorite, and a critical point, was that apartment scene between Lois and Clark. Because you see both aspects of that. You see him trying to be joking. You see him kind of be nerdy Clark. But then you see him be Superman. But then you see the struggle when he legitimately gets mad that she's questioning why he does what he does. You know, he almost is like, don't you know why I do? You should know why I do this. It matters to me. People were going to die. I wanted to see more of that. I think it was critical that I think that's a big mistake that they missed out on. I will also say that Rachel Brosnahan nailed Lois and has the potential to probably be the best Lois live action that we've had. And I think that the potential is there. You guys have heard me talk about it on the show a lot, that I think that Tyler Hoechlin and Bitsy Tulloch are the best Lois and Clark together. Not necessarily the best version of Lois or the best version of Clark, but the best Lois and Clark. Rachel and David had that. The chemistry is there. That scene in the apartment, that scene at the end, that scene on the farm, it was all there, and we didn't get enough of it. I wanted to see that because the chemistry was huge, and I felt like we didn't get enough of that. I wanted to see more of Lois and Clark and more of Lois and Superman. We didn't even really get a lot of Lois and Superman together. So I really wanted to see that dynamic play out a bit more because the chemistry was spot on, and I think these two would be brilliant together, more on screen. And then I'm gonna shift away. I'm gonna say this about other characters before I dive into my favorite aspect. Probably, I felt Mr. Terrific outstanding, fantastic.
Biggest surprise for me because I had no idea who this character was, and I loved him.
Yeah,
I loved him.
Yeah, they've portrayed him well in live action on several different things, Arrow and different things. This is by far the best interpretation we've ever gotten of this character. I think that they didn't stray away from the fact that he's one of the smartest, if not the smartest man in the DC universe, and he's a bit arrogant. He's a bit pissed off that people don't recognize that he's one of the smartest, if not the smartest guys. That's that swagger he's walking with. Like, hey, fuck you, I'm smart. Don't write me off. But then you also see how badass and battle hardened he is in that scene when they go to the desert for the portal, and he's just taking them out like left and right. I mean, he's bad. I loved that. And they did well. We had just the right amount, in my opinion, of Mr. Terrific. Guy Gardner, I was a bit worried about. I've never been a fan of the Guy Gardner character in the comic books. I always thought, like, what? You've got Hal Jordan, you've got Jon Stewart, you've got these, like, kick-ass great. What the fuck do we need a bully for? And I was worried. And then I saw the bowl cut in the promos and the picture, and I'm like, oh, what the fuck? This is gonna be awful. I will say the bowl cut didn't look bad in film. Like in the actual film, I never even paid attention to it. It wasn't as bad. I don't know if they cleaned it up a little bit in post or what, but it didn't look as bad as it did in the pictures and the initial trailers. And Nathan killed it. He killed it as Guy. Guy is an arrogant, punk-ass son of a bitch. And that's exactly how he played him off. In the comic books, I mean, Batman punched him square in the fucking face. Everybody just wants to punch him, right? Because he's an asshole. And he's very cocky, and he's very arrogant, and he thinks he's all that when he's really not. And he gets humbled a lot in the comic books. And I think they did a really good job of highlighting that with him. I would have liked to seen a tad more of him, a bit more interaction between him and Soups, maybe, would have been really good. The fail, and don't worry, I'm going to give you, because I want to hear all of your feedback on what I'm saying. The fail for me with the Justice Gang was Hawkgirl. Severely disappointed. It was a blink of an eye moment for her. We saw her a couple of times in battle, and the most significant scene that she had was at the Hall of Justice, with that little back and forth. Other than that, we really didn't. And she's such an interesting character. She's got and this version of her is like a mixture between the reincarnated Egyptian goddess, the alien from Thangagar, and like, so she's an alien. I would have thought we would have seen more between her and Superman, more of the understanding of I can feel where you're coming from because I'm not from this earth either, kind of a thing. And we didn't get that. And I felt like that was a big disappointment for me because, I mean, she's a brilliant actress and the portrayal of Hawkgirl was solid. I wanted more and we didn't get it. So I'm hoping that gets expanded on. I will say my favorite aspect of the whole thing, Nicholas Holtz's Lex Luthor. I've long said that I thought the one failure in the original Superman, and this has nothing to do with Gene Hackman. Gene Hackman, brilliant actor, brilliant performance as Lex. But that version of Lex never hit for me. I just was not a fan of that Lex Luthor. So Michael Rosenbaum has always been, no, now that's my dude. That's the Lex I know. That's the version I know. That's the version I love. Nicholas Hoult took that version. And then there's a newer version that you saw on Superman and Lois by Michael Cudlitz. A bit more gruff, a bit more hardened, but everything still that I wanted to see in Lex Luthor. Nicholas Hoult took all of the aspects that made Michael Rosenbaum's Lex Luthor epic, took the newer aspects of Michael Cudlitz's Lex Luthor, put them together, and then spun it in his own complete manner and gave us the ultimate Lex Luthor on live action that we've ever had. It was spot on perfect. This is a maniacal genius who's a billionaire businessman with an ego. He admits in the movie he's jealous. He's pissed. He wants to kill him not only because he views him as a threat, but because he's jealous of him. He's pissed that he gets all of the attention and that everybody loves him. And he played him just brilliantly. Here's the scene though. I didn't expect this. I don't know about your audience. My audience was a collective gasp and oh shit. Like literally I heard, oh shit. Me included. I said it. Oh shit. When Lex kills the dude with the gunshot. Like what the fuck? I was not, because it's all about hope and beauty and then just bang, capped him. I'm like, what the fuck? But that solidified him as the Lex Luthor. And then joked about it like, damn, didn't expect it to happen that quick. Gotta go get somebody else to get. I was like, yes, this is the Lex Luthor. And then, so for me, my two favorite aspects, that dynamic between Lois and Clark in the apartment, and the dynamic between Superman and Lex when Superman lays down, you've got it all wrong. My greatest power is I'm human. I wake up every day, I try to do the right thing, and I fuck up. I make mistakes. I get it wrong. That speech and Luthor's speech prior to that about how he is who he is and why, those were the best scenes of the film, in my opinion. It gave us the definitive Lois, the definitive Clark, the definitive Superman, and the definitive Lex in those two scenes. Plus the humor of Krypto just taking him and wailing him like Hulk did with Loki. Oh my God, can we talk about Krypto for a minute? I love this dog. I mean, every aspect. Krypto stole every scene he was in. He's like, yeah. And you get the explanation of why he's rough and tumble, why he's bad. Because his legit owner, spoilers, if you didn't read the guy, Supergirl, is a drunk. She's had a miserable life. She's not a good person at this moment of her life. And Krypto is being around that environment. He's a troublemaker because his mom is a troublemaker. And so I love that though. So overall, for me, it's a definitive launch to the DCU. It's officially back. This is a great jumping point for the future of it if they keep going in this direction. It is a definitive Superman. It is not going to be the Christopher Reeve Superman, but it's damn close. It's real close, and it will definitely be this generation's. He will be a generational Superman. I think all these characters will. And I think now the bar has been set for Lex Luthor. This is the definitive bar now that everybody will have to try to match. The only other thing that I saw that I had an issue with, and I'm real curious on your thoughts on this one, is the Ultraman thing. Like, from the get-go, right, if you're a comic book fan, Ultraman never had a mask on. He's like a bad version of Superman on another planet, but he's not Superman. It's just a similar powered guy that leads the Injustice League but so the second that we first started seeing promos of Ultraman and he had a mask on, you knew something was up, right? And like, I think that the mistake they made is because people were already hinting at that they thought it might be a clone. When they go to the Fortress of Solitude and they get in right away, before Ultraman doesn't even take off the mask, that blows it right there. Oh, he's definitely. Now that storyline has been blown now at that point. You don't even have to wait for the big reveal at the end. You now know, anybody who's been paying any attention knows, well, that is definitely a clone then. Because the robots even thought he was Superman when he first walked in. They said, hey, sir. And then it was when Gary turns around that he realizes it's not him. But because the DNA registered as him. So it's a weird morph of Ultraman. But what I think they really set up, and this is my opinion, and here I'm going to shift it back to you now, the black hole. Ultraman went flying through that black hole. We obviously know to another part of the universe, to another dimension possibly, right? They brought in the dimensions. They had Batmite. They had the imp, the fifth dimension imps. Bizarro. He is not Ultraman. They should have never called him Ultraman, in my opinion. This will end up being, mark my words, in some sort of a sequel somewhere, whether it's a Superman sequel, whether it's in another Supergirl, whether it's in a Justice League, he will become Bizarro. Luthor references that he's not smart. that he's kind of an idiot, that he's not intelligent, but might be more powerful than Superman himself? Bizarro. Bizarro's a backwards, not very smart idiot that's more powerful than Superman. So that's what I think. That's what I took away from that, and I'm hoping that's what we get, is that we will see Bizarro make an appearance in the DCU down the line, and that's where we'll get him. All right, so 4.5 out of 5, 8.5 out of 10. It's right there. It's right there, and I'm fine with it. I love it, and I could not be more excited about the future of the DCU. I think it's good.
Yeah, completely agree. Like it was a great interpretation, a great first film to kick it all off. And yeah, completely agree. Going back to you talking about Nicholas Hoult, there was a particular scene, I think it was more towards the end, where like he thought that Superman was finally dead, like when
Yeah.
the nanobots were getting into his lungs and things like that. And you see like the joy, like you see he wants to laugh, you see like
Yeah.
the evilness that is on his face, that I was like, holy shit, this guy is so underrated. Because I mean, us cinephiles out there, we've seen Nicholas Hoult and quite a few things, and we know his potential. We know he's going to be on top of the world one day. But like to see it in this Lex Luthor type of situation, like it blew me away. It was so freaking good.
I'm glad you brought that up, because yes, he's got the glint of like that sparkle in his eye and that grin, like yes. And then on the same sense of it, just a few minutes later, literally at the end when they're getting ready to take him off to prison, he's crying. You see that close-up look of the face where you see the tear come down in utter defeat and overall sadness that he did not complete his mission. And that's literally the Clark Superman transformation. You saw Lex, the gleeful, bold, confident, I'm going to do it, to the crying, I failed, what do I do now? And so that dynamic was just so spot on, and Holt nailed it, man. Nailed it.
Yes, completely agree. And I just, everything about this film, like I said, I just really freaking enjoyed. But there was like, I don't know, I really wasn't the biggest fan of the overly country Kansas accent that his parents had. I felt like that was a little obnoxious in my opinion. I've never, well, I've been to Kansas, but my family from Kansas doesn't talk like that.
Yeah,
They're not like from field, like farming type of Kansas. So that was, I mean, that was just a little annoying, but nothing like super crazy. But I mean, I guess it makes sense. But other than that, though, like I'm really trying to think. Guy Gardner, completely agree. Complete asshole, but yeah, Nathan Fillion does an amazing job. I did see online though, and of course this is all speculation and rumors, and you know how X and Twitter and all the places get. But I did see that there is supposed to be Superman characters in the second season of Peacemaker, so maybe that's where
Well,
we
we know
see.
Guy and Hawkgirl are definitely in it. We saw
Well,
that
that's
from
what
a
I'm about to say
promo.
about
Yeah,
Hawkgirl,
yeah.
because you said you wanted to see more of her. And yeah, I completely agree. I wish they would have used her more, because she is such a talent. I mean, if you go back and watch that actress's work on The Last of Us, she steals the whole entire second season. So yeah, I think overall, this is great. I love the color. I love what they brought back to it. But I really did. If anybody who follows me on social media, I tweeted. I was like, going into this theater, going into this film, I know James Gunn. I've seen his work. I know what he does. There has to be a big, colorful monster somewhere. Not only do you get one, you get like three, and which I thought that was freaking awesome. I love the consistency of the minor villain characters that we got in this film, right? Because the majority of the time that we see these superhero films, everything's leading up to a massive big battle. You normally have one in the first slash second act, and then you have one towards the end. But throughout this entire thing, it really reminded me of animated Justice League films and shows that, you know, throughout the entire episode or throughout the entire thing, they're nonstop fighting, right? They're fighting this hero, or not this hero, this villain that is just there, popped in to further accelerate the storyline. And I think that's what they did very, very well. They kept the audience engaged. They kept their attention so spot on. And I think that's where that fast pacedness came from that I was talking about earlier in my review. But I think they did it in a way that not a lot of people were going to be upset with how they
No,
did it.
well, and they what I really like is that scene, that second scene with Lois and Clark at the apartment when he's in the Superman gear and everything, and that battle's going on outside. They
Yeah.
reference it. They almost make the joke of it is like this is a normal occurrence with
Yeah.
metahumans in the world because he says, "Oh no, they've got it. This is nothing new." Like they reference the fact that these type battles probably happen all the time.
All the
and
time.
and he
Yeah.
doesn't have to be a part of it. And so I like that they address that. I'm also glad that you brought up the farm. I think they did go a little over the top with the simpleton farmer like thing.
Yeah.
What I think though, I loved the aspect of what it was, and here's where they dropped the ball again with Lois and Clark, in my opinion. We start to get that where she realized, I think the farm is the moment that she realizes she loves him too. Because everything that he's been saying about who he is, she kind of brushes off the punk rock thing at the initial apartment. And she's like, oh, yeah, ha. But then at the farm, and she's seeing him with his parents, and she sees his room, and she sees
Yeah.
all these. That look on her face, that moment of he is who he genuinely says he is. This is just this. And you get that little, and then the phone call and it's over. And I'm like, no, we needed a bit more of that interaction between them. I almost think it would have worked better if we got the I love you too there instead of at the very end, with the moment that she realizes Clark is who Clark is. He's just a regular guy that happens to be this alien kick-ass, So that is the one aspect that I really think that James Gunn kind of undersold, and I wish they would do. And I'm hoping that we see, because he's normally so good with that character development, right? And he nailed them. Their interpretation is perfect. We just didn't get enough of it. So I hope he expands on that in future stuff.
Yeah, completely agree. Some final thoughts before we head on to our reminiscing segment about the podcast and everything. I definitely feel like, so I went back and I knew podcasts. I've been tweeting and talking all about what went wrong or whatever it's called about film sets and how they got made and things like that. Well, I did listen to the 1978 about the 1978 making of Superman, and I think because a piece of advice that Donner took was, as long as you focus on the love story, everything else will come around it. And that was something that I feel like I agree with, that it did get kind of lost in the shuffle because James Gunn was so engulfed in, and I don't blame him at all, and he did an amazing job with showing this guy as Superman, showing the action. And I think that's why the attention stayed so locked in, because there wasn't those slower moments of the love story. But yeah, again, overall, like I said, I think I don't say it's my favorite film of the year yet, but it's definitely in the top five. So at the end of the year, we can talk about our favorite films of 2025. But yeah, it's up there, man. It's a great, phenomenal movie, and this is what it means to have people go to the box office and have an experience together. Like my whole row was misfits who didn't come with anyone else. It was just
Yeah,
people who came
yeah.
by themselves that ended up just filling in the seats, and I loved every second of it. But it was a great experience, and I absolutely loved this interpretation of Superman.
Yeah, and my theater erupted with applause and cheers at the end of it. I mean, it was that those are the moments where you want us when you get the collective oh shit or the cheers or the that's what makes cinema so great, and seeing it at the theaters. And I'm going to wrap up with just following up with what you said about the 78 version. I think that's why it's still the definitive gold standard film. That film, Richard Donner did an immaculate job of balancing Superman and Clark Kent and the love story, right? This version was supposed to be all about his humanity, and yet we focused on his humanity as Superman, but not nearly enough of the humanity and the love that he has for Lois. We just didn't see enough of that, where I think the original 78 version, you get equal amounts of Clark and Superman throughout the whole thing. And I think that's the one aspect that this one falls short on. And I'm sure James will fix it. But I get it. I'm with you. I think that they were just, in their mindset, they have to establish Superman. This is the new Superman. We'll give you Clark, but right now it has to be Superman. And they did that. And so, yeah. And when my final thought is, it's very special to me, and it was kind of a full circle moment for me, because you've heard me talk about this in the past, but it was as an 8-year-old that I went, and my mom took me to see that movie as an 8-year-old kid, and I believed that a man could fly, and I knew I wanted to do that for the rest of my life and be a part of filmmaking and make that magic. And it was a very full circle moment because my mom went with me to this one. And seeing her like a little kid watching it, and she blurted out before I could, "I love it. It was so good." And it was just a really special moment to be able to share the very first one with her, and now this one with her, 50 years later, and have this kind of like, or almost 50 years later. It was a really kind of cool moment for me. So yeah, man. Woo! What a great time, man. What a great time.
Yes, it was absolutely phenomenal. So good. I absolutely love it. Well, it is the 300th episode, guys. Like Dustin said a little bit earlier, we've been doing this for almost 8 years,
Yeah,
7.5 years. That's absolutely wild. Because this was never supposed to be what it turned into being. We never thought we would be doing it this long. We thought we would be doing it with other people. And I would, of course, want to start off the reminiscing and the telling the story and our favorite moments by saying thank you to all of the listeners. Thank you to all of the guests. Thank you to all of our past hosts that we've had on the show. Darren, Rebecca, Chris, Jason, Tavia, Emily, ourselves. We wouldn't have been able to do it without those people, so we always want to say thank you to all of them, and to give us, it's so interesting to see how this podcast has grown throughout, and to have the notoriety and the support to do this show every single week is truly special. So I wanted to, give everybody a shout out, the ones who came before us and who helped us start this podcast. So of course, shout out to That Show with Those Guys.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Sure
yeah.
if they're a thing anymore, but we were an internet radio show at first, guys. We were not a podcast. And it's just been a crazy ride.
Yeah.
I mean, I never thought we would go to the places we would go. Never thought we would talk to the people we would talk to. But it's such a special thing because I went with a friend last night to see Superman, and literally, because he didn't know, but literally when John Papsadera's name pops up on the screen, I'm like, hey, we've had the casting director on the podcast. It's connected us with so many awesome people, and I'm just forever thankful and blessed.
Yeah, same. And I echo everything you just said about all of our previous hosts and everybody involved with the making of the show early on. And definitely huge thank you to everybody involved with That Show with Those Guys, because, we were guests on their show, and for whatever reason, they just, I don't know, saw something in us, recognized something in us, and thought maybe we'd be pretty good at doing our own thing, and approached us with the idea, which wasn't even on our radar. It was literally just a way to promote something that we were currently working on. And so for them to even plant the seed, if you will, in our head to even think about doing it was, forever grateful for them, because I don't think it would even exist if they hadn't come to us with the idea to even try a show. And initially we said no. It was like, we just don't have the time to do this. We don't know how we would, and it kind of transitions into this. We don't even know how we would market it. We don't even know what we would say every week, or what we would talk about, or we initially had a really hard time struggling with, well, who are we as this show? What is this show? And then early on, we did have so many people involved. We had so many different personalities and so many different ideas. We were stepping on what should we be on this show. It was a struggle early on, right?
It very much was. Yeah. I mean, I remember that actually the first couple years like we were marketing the podcast underneath our film Crazy Ant
Yeah.
Media page, like because we just didn't know how to balance everything. We didn't know how easy it was switching back and forth between the profiles, and it really got to the point where we were just posting a lot of podcast stuff underneath the Crazy Ant Media, or then the Crazy Ant Films page. And we were like, but this is not who we are. And I mean, we still struggle with that. We're filmmakers who have a podcast. We're not podcasters that make films.
Correct.
So it's one of those things where to inevitably figure out the pendulum swinging and trying to figure out how to continue to build the brand by also having a voice in the community. And it's a thing that we still work on every single week. But man, oh man, if you think about where we started to where we are now, it's infinitely better. We have to enjoy the journey that is ahead, and where we have come from is so far away now. So yeah, it's been quite a ride just figuring out the marketing plan. Think about all of the different logos that we've had, right?
Yeah.
This was a logo. This was a newer logo. Our logo now, our logo like a couple of years, like so many different ones, and trying to figure out color schemes, obviously wanting to stick with the yellow and black, figuring out like graphics for the videos, figuring out graphics for the thumbnails. Like we were going for more of like a old school radio show when we were promoting at first, and now we kind of transitioned into a like a pop culture fun theatrical event type of promotional style. But it's so interesting to see where we were and transition to where we are now. It's so fun to watch.
Well, and I think that if you go back, and maybe we should do this as a social media post, show all the logos over the years.
Right. Yes.
I think you can see with each logo, and the transition of the logos is a transition period in what the show is. Mm-hmm. Right? I think the logos changed to represent when we made changes to the show and how we were trying to like, no, we do this. We talk about this. We do this. And early on, it literally had a radio in the graphic. So it was like, the other thing too is early on, it was all about us. It was just all about, this is what we're working on. Even when we decided to have other people join us as a guest, it was the people that we were working with on our projects. It was like, it was, and that was difficult. It's like, how do we even do this? What do we even talk about? What do we kind of a thing? And so I remember we weren't even sure when we first started. It was a more of a, let's just talk about films we're working on. And then we kind of, changed the rundown a little bit to let's talk about the industry because it affects what we're working on. And then the defining moment, I think, or one of the defining moments very early comes from two people. And I want to give them the proper shout outs because I think it started the catalyst of change for the direction of where we went with the show. And that is Keena Ferguson and Rebecca Kennedy. Keena Ferguson, she somehow came across the show, like we don't even like really know how, and reached out to us and said she really enjoyed it and would like to be a guest on the show. Do we do guests? And what? She was on Atlanta at the time, so like this huge show, and here's this actress on this huge show wanting to be a guest on our show, and I'm like, we've been talking to our actors, but do we do this? And if we do this, how do we do this? Like, we're not sure. And so, but that really kind of shifted the direction of, is it all about us, or now do we like expand? Do we reach out? Is it a more of a industry? This is who's in the industry. These are the people working. These is the stuff going on. And I think that initial reach out by Keena kind of started that catalyst of change towards where we were headed. And then Rebecca Kennedy, same thing. We reached out to her because of Law and Order. She was on Law and Order, but she just immediately gelled with us. She was somebody we all, because at this point we still had a bunch of hosts, that we all felt very comfortable with. Very like, she's fun to talk to. She just seems to be very cool and vibing. And now Rebecca, we affectionately refer to as our forever guest because she's been on the show like 15 times. Whenever we want to talk, whenever we just want to catch up, whenever she has something that she wants to talk about, whenever there's nothing to talk about, we just want to come on and say, hey, what's going on in life? She's been there for us at every milestone, really. And so, yeah, I just wanted to really give a shout out to them because there's so many great guest moments, and we'll dive into that further a little bit later. But it's just, I think that the show isn't what it is today or even goes in that direction without those two initially showing us what it could be, right?
Yeah, most definitely. And you brought up, like, how would we do guest interviews?
Yeah.
How would we do that? So, guys, we would literally call them on our phone and have a microphone specifically for the phone and just, like, lay it down and make sure it was on speakerphone and just place the microphone right there. And it wasn't bad audio. I'm not even going to lie.
It wasn't.
So, you at the beginning, you got to do what you got to do to make it happen. That's for sure. But I mean, speaking of that bad audio, different venues, things like that, we've recorded the podcast in about 9 different venues. We've been on a really crazy trajectory, right?
Without doubt.
When COVID shut everything down out in Los Angeles, we relocated to North Carolina, and we were doing the podcast just in a little room with 2 USB microphones and sitting on chairs, just watching the screen. And while we were scrolling through our phone, this is before we went back to video. And I mean, because we didn't have a board because it was our sound guy's board and he didn't come with us to LA.
Right.
So it was crazy. Like, we always made sure we were continuing to do the podcast. I think that shows the resilience and, like, passion that we had for this show, because like we talked about, it turned into something that we never thought it would be. I remember one time we were out in LA and we did it in a hotel room, all of these different places, man. It's been truly an experience.
Yeah, we early on, the very first couple episodes, we recorded in a library, and then it transitioned into the back room of McAllister's Deli. And then it transitioned into where we were living, the apartment that we were living at. And then, like you said, we made the move out to LA. And initially when we were in LA, we were at a hotel. So we were doing it at hotels, like literally recording it at hotels. And then it was several different apartments in North Carolina. And now it's 2 different coasts right now. It's North Carolina and Mississippi. But I like what you said, though. It just shows the resilience and the adaptability of this show means so much to us, and the industry means so much to us, and how much we love it that we just, whatever it takes, we do to make this show happen. We just will not let it not happen. And that's because of the passion and dedication that we have. And, you brought up a couple of the things, not only, the different locations and trying to figure out how to record, and all these different things. But then COVID hit, and shut everything down. And, trying to figure out, do we do a show? Because there's nothing happening right now. There's like, how do we do this? How do we do that? And on top of that, not long after that, if you guys know, the writer's strike happened, the SAG strike happened, and they weren't allowed to promote anything. They weren't allowed. So we had made this giant shift to all the stuff going on in the industry and interviewing people within the industry who were now not allowed to talk, and they weren't doing anything. And we were like, does this mean the end of our show? Does this mean we just have to go on this crazy extended break? What do we do? And again, it goes to the hell no. We love this industry. We love what we do. We're going to find a way to make this show work even without anything going on. What can we talk about? And I think that was the nice little shift or dynamic when we started educating people that were interested in trying to get into the industry, didn't know anything about. We started talking about it. What's happening during the strike? Why are the strikes happening? What does it mean for if you're an actor? What does it mean if you're a writer? And we've had guest after guest tell us that we are the most informative information about the industry that they've heard. They're in the industry and like, no, you guys know more than we do. Like, yeah, so it was a really interesting challenge to try to figure out how do we shift the show for almost a year with these two major events that shut everything down, right? It was like, whoa, what do we do?
Yeah, COVID was definitely hard because everything was shut down and like there wasn't a lot of things shooting at the time. And then when they finally got back to shooting, things were very weird, like
Yeah.
social distancing and people making their own little pockets of like rooms basically where the actors would have to sit between takes. And what helped us during COVID was the Quarantine Gang. I think it was Quarantine TV.
Yeah.
Shout out Spencer Garrett and Jeremy Gordon and Jerry Ying, like all of those guys, they created this little short form Zoom Instagram show basically where they were telling stories over Zoom and posting it on Instagram, and it was like a episodic,
Yeah.
which became very interesting and very different. And so that was really what kept us going. And shout out to Jeremy Gordon specifically, because there for a little bit, he helped us get a lot of people on the show.
He did.
Like he was very instrumental. And I mean, Spencer's always been a great guy hooking us up with great individuals to get on the show as well. And then with the writer's strike, we had our mental health podcast, so we were able to get around not having people on ITCAF podcast, but still having guests on our mental health podcast because they were just talking about their mental health and not talking about any projects. So
right.
That was kind of our workarounds with both of those things. Very two big instrumental either people or workarounds that we were able to keep going during these times.
And I want to say, I think that the COVID situation, and we're going to dive a little bit deeper into that because you brought up Jeremy and you brought up Spencer, and I really want to talk about that in a minute with a different thing. But the one thing that I am thankful for the strikes for, and COVID both, is we had kind of lost focus. You brought it up just a couple of minutes ago. It very much started to feel like it was shifting from we are podcast people that also make movies. And I will forever be grateful for COVID and the strikes because during COVID, we started to write. We started to create. We were like, wait a minute. We've got all this free time now. We've got what do we do? And it really started that shift back to, no. We are creators. We are filmmakers who happen to have a podcast. And I think COVID and the writer's strike really emphasized and forced us back into that direction to go, no. Let's prioritize what we really are. And I mean, the stuff that we were able to create, the stuff that we wrote, the stuff that we're continuing to work on now that started during those times, just amazing. And I think if those two events don't happen, who knows, right? I mean, so I'll forever be grateful for that. And I want to bring up because I think that, we were doing pretty good early. We struggled the first couple of years, and then we got, the first couple of guests, and we were doing all right. We were chugging along, but some people had heard of us, some people hadn't, we were kind of like, but I think the defining moment for our company as filmmakers, for the podcast, for this show, the defining moment came thanks to Spencer Garrett and Jeremy Gordon and America 2.0. America 2.0 was this serial podcast, had epic A-list cast, Patrick J. Adams, Shanola Hampton, Ming-Na Wen, Gary, just like, I can't even just,
Fishburne,
Lawrence
Reeser,
Fishburne, Autumn Reeser, just like this epic cast. And Spencer Garrett and Jeremy Gordon were Spencer was in it as cast member too, but producers on it. They helped bring it all together. And then of course J.S. Mayank, who wrote and created it with David Carlisle. And we were fortunate enough to get a lot of those casts, Spencer, J.S., Jeremy, on the show and to talk about this like epic podcast that they were doing. And then all of a sudden they were like, do you want to come out to LA? Do you want to come out to LA and we're going to put on this event for it and we really want you guys to be there. And that changed everything for us. That was the first time the company was at a Hollywood event. That was the first time that company was on a red carpet. That was the first time the company was seen in pictures with A-list celebrities. All of a sudden, people knew who we were. People recognized the name. People saw that we were in Hollywood. People saw that. And they were so generous to even give us a moment in the spotlight during their event, highlighted us and called us out at the event. And I think that forever changed the trajectory of the company because that put the spotlight on us. That finally gave us the attention to start building the reputation that we have now and the recognition and the notability and the notoriety that we have now. And they have never failed to, like you said, be there for us. They always promote us. They always have our back. They're always just genuinely good people who inherently care about what we are doing and vice versa. And I think that relationship changed everything for us. And I'll forever be grateful for that because you don't understand, guys, when you are on a red carpet with A-list celebrities and your pictures are snapped and people are talking about you and they're retweeting, what that does is massive. When you're from Biloxi, Mississippi, that nobody even really knows unless you say close to New Orleans, all of a sudden you're in Hollywood snapping pictures with, these A-list celebrities. It was a shift. And forever grateful to those people, to all of them. They are all brilliant creators themselves. They are all just genuinely good human beings. And I think, again, we wouldn't be where we are as filmmakers or on this show without them. So just huge thank you. And huge thank you to the Cup. Right up there, vote Seth. Because it was a simple question about who is Seth and why should we be voting for him that we even found out about America 2.0. I legit thought it was a real candidate. They're like, hey, should we be voting for this guy? Who is this? Boom, rest is history.
This man went on such a deep dive of who the hell is Seth. Like, it was like 3 hours of just going through congressmen, through senators, through like so many people.
And couldn't find it. That's what was so bad. Like, this guy doesn't really. So I called up Autumn. I'm like, hey, who is Seth? Who's that? Are you voting for them? Are they California? No, that's a project I'm working on. Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, tell me about this project because I was like so baffled. But then that was it though. That was the transition to everything that happened, and that's got to be one of the most entertaining nights, right? That was epic. That was just the trip out there, the event itself, and then the interviews that came after that. And it was just like, yeah, all of that was so, in fact, the quarantine thing, that happened because of the America 2.0. Yeah. That's how they knew to reach out to us. Like, oh my gosh, we loved you guys so much. We're doing this. Do you want to be a part of that? And we're like, hell yeah, we want to be a part of that. So, and we have to say that a lot of people involved with those people and those projects have helped us as film. A lot of them participated in our film and helped produce our film and helped fund our film. And we probably wouldn't have gotten our first film off the ground or even had it released if not for those people. So thank you. It's been crazy, right?
It really has. It really has. Yeah, because we made an amazing connection with Riley B. Smith from Scorpion and his mom, Nikki. They've been huge, awesome people, supporters of Crazy Ant Media and us of them as well.
And really just good friends. They're like they've become really good friends. All of these people have become genuine friends, which is Yeah, I mean, that's what it's all about, right?
Exactly, man. Exactly. Yeah, because I mean, we continue to have them on the podcast. We
Oh,
just
yeah.
had JS on last year. We've had Autumn on multiple times. I mean, we still talk to these people over social media all the freaking time. So they're
Shinola broke news about making a directorial debut on our show. It was
exactly.
so epic. Like, yeah, come on.
It's so good, man. So good. But for so long, we were just strictly audio, right?
Yes.
Especially when it came to our Zoom or our guest segments. But there was one time where I remember we were interviewing Jackson Douglas, and he was out of the country. If you guys don't know, he's Jackson from Gilmore Girls, and he Skyped us, I believe, and you weren't prepared for it, and you put it down, and the whole time Jackson
We're
Douglas is just
staring
watching
at
our
our
ceiling
ceiling
fan.
fan.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
would go around while we're still doing like we were talking about the microphone to
Yes.
the
Yes.
speakerphone. That was absolutely hilarious. But yeah, once we started doing Zoom, our first ever Zoom interview was with Dominic
Dominic
Burgess.
Burgess.
Never
Yeah.
forget that. Because I still give him credit for he's the reason why I wanted to start collecting physical media again, because he's
Yes.
big into physical media. So now I'm starting to collect VHS tapes because I just got a VCR. Anyway, but yeah, I was so against this, and you would have really thought, the younger guy would have been so for
Yeah.
change, so for innovation, so for, all the other podcasts were doing Zoom because of COVID. And I was like, man, I really don't want to do this because I love our guests. I love everything that we've been a part of, and we're so fortunate. But there has been some people that we've had on the show, especially at the very, 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 very beginning, halfway through, that we had to do a little editing too, right? We had to make it a little bit more entertaining, maybe take out some some spaces, things like that. So obviously we're never going to say any names, but there were some interviews that we would go through when it was just the audio version, when they would call in, and me and Dustin would be able to look at each other and be like, is this over yet? Are we able to like figure out a way to wrap it up yet? And I was so terrified that we would not have that, we just wouldn't be able to make visual cues to each other.
Right. Right.
Basically, we wouldn't be able to figure out how to get out of it. But then, like, once we started doing the Zooms, getting closer and being more comfortable with everything, him and I were able to figure out just each other's ticks and how we vocalize how to wrap up situations. Like, we were able to get into a groove to where we're like, okay, no, it's fine. We don't need to look at each other while we need to do these like social cues type thing. So I was, yeah, absolutely terrified of that. And the more and more we went on trying to figure out how to edit them together. But then now where we're at, I feel like it's the best that it has been, especially with workflow and editing it all together.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, that was quite a transition because
And I,
well, first we were not really, didn't know how to prepare for it,
no,
and
no,
then we didn't know how to edit for it, and then our cameras at first were not great at all.
no.
Like you broke out an old school desktop that had a camera
Yeah.
because we thought like it had the best. I forget, we thought it would run the best on
Yeah.
Zoom or
Yeah.
whatever, and like all of these different things. So it was quite a process to get to where we are now.
And huge props to Dominic because
Yeah.
look, we were up front with him. We were like, hey man, this is the first one. We're clueless. This is where it could be rough, and he was so gracious
He
and
was.
so just really fun. He's like, hey man, if I'm not mistaken, there were a couple of hiccups where we had to like stop and start again, kind of like, oh wait a minute, let's do that again, let's try this like that. And he was so just amazing and so very gracious. It's like if there was a person that we needed to have as the first on-camera guest, he was perfect because he was so genuinely kind and just rolled with what we were trying to do, and forever grateful for him. And he's a phenomenal actor, you guys. If you have not checked him out, he's in so much stuff. He's that guy that you know, but probably don't recognize the name. Look him up and you'll go, oh, Dominic, that guy. Yeah, he's just so great. And so thank you, Dominic. Just, man, what a what a ride that interview was,
Do
man.
you remember that time that it was our second time interviewing John Papsadera, and it was before we subscribed to Zoom to
Yes.
get Ultimate Time.
Oh my
And like it was like, hey, you have 10 minutes. Hey, you have 5 minutes till this
Yes.
expires. And we're just like, okay, okay, John. Yep, thank you. We don't have enough time to talk about Oppenheimer. Okay, yep. All right,
Yeah,
love you, buddy.
yeah.
Bye. Like, it was so
Well, and
funny.
it wasn't even in the thought process, right? One, we didn't even think about, okay, let's just sign up so that we don't have a time limit. But it
Yeah,
also wasn't even in the process of, okay, this one can end and then we can literally just start another one
start
and keep
another one.
going. Wasn't it? It was like, oh shit, we gotta get into down to this like real
Yes.
quick. It was, it was so funny. And yeah, okay, so let's talk about some moments with some guests too, because John Papsadera, you bring up, was so good. John Papsadera was really like, if you guys don't understand, you heard us talk about it at the top of the show. This guy is probably the most significant casting director of the last 20 years, hands down. And mark my words, I have said it on this show before. I will say it again right now on this episode. He will, and if he doesn't, I'm fucking storming Hollywood. He will and should be the first casting director under the new category at the Academy Awards to win the Oscar for casting. This man they should have done it with Oppenheimer. It should have started that year and he should have won it hands down. But now Odyssey seems like a no-brainer to me. But guys, he has cast damn near every Christopher Nolan film ever. Every James Gunn film, or at least a ton of James Gunn films. Taylor Sheridan, whole universe. John Papsadera. Like the shows and films that we could list that he is responsible for casting, this man is epic. And the idea that he was kind of like, came on our show. Like, just, and he's so down to earth and so just nice. And here's the kicker, though, why I wanted to say, because this is a man who's literally best friends with Christopher Nolan. What?
Yeah.
Literally doing all these amazing things, casting all these amazing projects. And this man took time out of his day, not only to do our interview, but prior to our interview, research us. This man took time to figure out and learn about us prior to, and he's our very first guest who ever turned the table and said, dropped something about us unexpected. We were completely caught off guard about, wait, what? He knows that about us? It's an epic moment. It was one that I'll never forget. And it says everything about who he is, right? And he's another great guy. He's always willing to come on and talk to us. I can't wait to get him back on and talk about, he couldn't talk about Superman, but now he can. I can't wait to get him back on and talk about Superman. Because yes, he cast Superman also. Right? He's just great. And it was your call. You reached out, I think, initially for John. And so just epic. I mean, what a great guy he is.
Yeah, it's absolutely wild. And I want to give a shout out to Shane Cook. This was a very long ago one. This was honestly, before I came out of my shell, this was the first time I had led an interview with us. That it's always been monumental. It's always been one that I will never forget. And he was so gracious. He was so kind. He got a lot of fame from the 300, the 100, and then the Conjuring franchise.
Yes.
He's very big and instrumental in those franchises. So that was very cool. John, oh my gosh, we've interviewed so many freaking people. John Clarence Stewart,
Yes.
from Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist, still
Just
one of my all-time favorites.
indeed.
I felt like we had like a brotherly connection. That guy was absolutely amazing, and so many laughs shared with that guy. I mean, honestly, there's so many laughs and sensitive moments and beautiful moments, memories that we made with all of these people that was just amazing.
Another
But I
one.
never thought it would get to that freaking point. Like when we reach out for people, we always say we never know what to expect. And sometimes when publicists reach out to us to pitch their clients, we never know what to expect either. But some of those have been the best,
Oh, without
right? Some
doubt.
of those interviews who, like, maybe these people aren't necessarily the highest on the call sheet or they're not in the biggest projects, but there's a little buzz going around their project. When we get those people on, like, they're always the biggest surprise and always the most humble and down to earth people. Like, do you remember what was her name? There was a girl, and I'm gonna have to go back and I'll put it in the YouTube video. but there was a girl that I reached out to because I thought she was a producer on Dungeons and Dragons, and we had a phone
Yeah,
call to
yeah,
like try to
yeah.
give her a little bit of information before like her coming on the show, so she knew what it's about. She was, and I was like, "Oh yeah, we can talk about this, that," and she was like, "Wait, you're not talking to the right person." Like, so I was completely reaching out and pitching ourselves to this lady who was not the right person who we like
Yes.
pitched for. But then like when we got to talk to her a little bit more and I found her real IMDb page, like she also had been in some stuff.
Yeah,
So I was like,
yeah.
well, just from this 5 to 10 minute conversation, you seem great. So we're still bringing you on the
Oh,
show.
and she
Like
was
that was
epic.
hilarious.
Yeah. And another one that stands out to me, J. Alex Brinson. J. Alex
Yes, that was
Brinson was the
good.
first one to turn the tables on us. Not like John Papsadera did with knowing some stuff about, but he started interviewing us. He's like,
Yeah.
well, tell me about you guys. And so we started to tell him about the company and like the film that, and he's like, no, about you.
Mm-hmm.
Where did you guys grow up? What kind of stuff have you gone through with? You know, what's your family like? And he really wanted to take a moment to genuinely get to know us as people. And it
Yeah.
turned into like this just incredibly deep conversation about life and like, you know, all this kind of stuff. And I think though that's what really sets us apart. And because there's been so many guests, and I want to highlight a few more, but I think what really sets us apart is we don't just like you have to be an A-lister, you ain't coming on the show. For
Yeah.
us, it's like no one person is any more important or less important than anyone else. Whether this is your first time in the industry, your first gig, or whether you've won an Academy Award or a Golden Globe or what, we've had them all on the show. Literal legends to people that it's their very first gig, and I think that's what really sets us apart. And they know that they can just come on. The other thing is because we do get into these real conversations. It isn't just come on, pitch your project and go. We're not the standard Q&A. We get into it. We get real. We just have a conversation about who we are as people and where we are in life. And I think that's what really sets us apart. And another one that really stands out for me that I am really proud of because it really kind of cemented our who we are as people and that we're trustworthy and that we're good people is Akira Akbar. And at the
Mm-hmm.
time that we had Akira on, she was still itty bitty. She was in Captain Marvel, and she was still a youngin'. And her people were like very guarded with her, very cautious about, we don't really let her do interviews or a lot of interviews because she's so young. And what is it going to be? What are the questions going to be? What are you going to talk about? And we finally were able to get it all along and get her on the show. And after the interview, you know, her publicist called up and said, wow, you guys are amazing. That's like probably the most comfortable Akira's ever felt and the most fun she's had in an interview and the most comfortable we felt having her do an interview kind of. And it really just kind of sparked a thing to where we were able to get younger people and we were able, because people, now our reputation was getting out there that we're the show that they can send their people to because they're going to be okay, you know? So that I just took great pride in that because, you know, that's an important thing, you know, who you are and that people can feel trusted with you and safe with you, especially when they're younger. Another a couple of people I want to give a shout out to because just like unreal, just mind blown that Jason Ritter, just Danny Strong, Catherine McNamara. Like these, you guys don't understand. These are like huge people, and at the
Kelly
time,
Giddish.
like
Yeah.
Kelly Giddish, Law and Order. Oh my God, yeah, like all of them. At the time that we had them on, are like peak. They're on these huge shows. They're like killing it, and they're like, sure, well, come on, and like it was so just unbelievable. Like I can't believe we're getting these people on the show, and again they turned into just all these all out long conversations about life and just it wasn't just the come on and talk about your show. It was like Danny, oh my god, Danny Strong is so fun to talk to, y'all. He's just like amazing. We joke back and forth with him. It's like, you know, we've had him on numerous times, but he's so just a great and yeah, I'm just blown away by it, just absolutely blown. And Kelly Geddish, come on, it's like one of the biggest moments. And to think Matlock is the biggest show on CBS right now, and we the idea that we've had both Jason and Sky P. Marshall as guests on the show is insane to me. That is just like, and then let's talk about it, right? Legends. We've literal legends. Eric Braeden, and the one that hit us both, which just, how can we not, is William Daniels. Mr. Feeney and Kit. I mean, like, come on. That one was crazy. The idea that we were talking to Mr. Feeney and in my generation, Kit. And it's just like unreal and so gracious. They were so gracious in these interviews, all of them. And it's just, it's crazy, man, how many people we have talked to and the inside stories. Just, right? Like, I mean, it's unreal.
Yeah, I'm literally going through our IMDb right now and scrolling through it. It's honestly astounding, like the amount of people and conversations that I can literally take myself back and put myself in those situations. It's honestly wild. Yeah, because I mean, Ed Asner, Eric Braeden, William Daniels, so many
One of
freaking
the
people.
last interviews with Ed Asner. We were one of the last interviews before he passed. And I mean, you guys don't understand the stature of Ed. He was literally a legend. Literally. This guy was you know, Academy Award nominated, Golden Globe nominated, Roots and Mary Tyler Moore and Santa and Elf and like he was the president of SAG for like so much impact of who this man was. And the idea that we got to interview him was just like, what? Like, just unreal.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing. And I mean, all walks of life too. We're doing actors, directors, cinematographers, makeup and hairstyling, choreography, like so many different executives. We had Bradley Gallo on the show, and he's the one who took over the Green Hornet franchise. So still waiting to see what we do with that. But yeah, there's so many different people, and I'm so thankful for all of them. And it's been an amazing journey, and yeah, just super blessed, all the friendships and, you know, connections that we've made throughout the years, because I never thought it would come to all of this, and it's quite amazing.
228 individuals that we are forever thankful for, each and every one of you. Some of them have left us. Some of them have passed, which is unfortunate. But we were blessed to have them for a brief moment in our life and be able to talk to them and kind of, but each and every one of the 228, and we've had some significantly large people and people just starting out who are now killing it, which is just, I'm forever grateful for each and every one of them. And I think that I can truthfully say, I think we've learned something from each and every one of them.
Oh, yeah.
Without doubt. And not just industry related stuff, not just stuff about as filmmakers or as people in the entertainment. We've learned things about life from these people. Like, you know, so just, forever grateful, man. And I can't wait for the next 300 guests. You know, it's going to be amazing.
Exactly, man. Exactly. Whew. So good. So good. Super excited for the future. Thankful for the past, and continue moving forward. That's for sure. But now it is time for our top 5 segment, man. And this week it is top 5 Disney films. Everybody knows we are Disney guys. That's
we
right.
are?
And
what?
We're big time Disney guys. We are including Touchstone
and Hollywood Pictures also.
And Hollywood Pictures into this category, but of course, marketing and tagging it as Disney films.
Yes.
Of course. It was very hard, man. I'm not going to lie. I went through and was like, how do I not go and put all of the 90s or late 80s animated pictures? Like it was so freaking hard.
And a lot of people don't know the history, but Michael Eisner was very guarded of the mouse. of
Yeah.
Walt Disney. This is like, we're a family company, people. We are like, but he understood that during that era in the 80s, when him and Frank Wells were basically trying to save Disney, right? They were brought in to stave off the takeover and dismantle and save it. They understood that they needed to break into other areas. But he was like, we will not tarnish Mickey. We will not put that brand. So Touchstone Pictures was created to put out rated R movies under Disney without touching the Disney banner. They're like, we need to get them out there, but we will not put the Walt Disney name on them. And Hollywood Pictures came out underneath the Touchstone banner. But it was Michael Eisner and Frank Wells who said, we've got to do this, but we cannot tarnish what this company was built on. How can we do it? Ba-ding! And there we go. And I love it because I'm betting a lot of most, with the exception of probably my number one and maybe your number one and number five, maybe. Most people will not realize that these films were Disney films. Yeah. I think people will be like, wait, what? They were But yes, all of these are Disney films made at Walt Disney, just not underneath the Walt Disney Studios banner. And I also, with mine, I don't know about yours, but because you said like it was hard, I specifically stayed away from the Star Wars franchise, the Pixar franchises, and the Marvel franchises, because while they are Walt Disney, while they fall under Disney, all three of those companies operate autonomously. They are owned by Disney, but they operate as separate studios, where Touchstone and Hollywood and the Walt Disney Studios all fell underneath the Walt Disney Studios banner.
Yeah.
So I tried to keep my movies there so that we could say these are legit Disney movies.
Yeah, I did the same thing.
All right.
But yeah, my number 5, man, I literally just went to the IMDb page and freaking looked at the rating. Absolutely wild. It's Who Framed Roger Rabbit. And get this, it is a PG movie. What? I thought at least PG-13. It's a PG movie.
Yeah.
That is absolutely wild. If you guys didn't know, it's about a cartoon rabbit who is accused of murder, and he enlists the help of a burnt-out private detective who is an alcoholic to help him get his not framed, basically, clean his name. And I love this film. It's not the first ever time that live action met animation, but it is the most iconic time that live action met animation, in my opinion. But this film was so risque. What are we talking about? PG. I want to go back to the motion picture ratings and freaking talk to them about this shit. That's wild to me. But I love this film because it was so kid friendly, I guess. It was a much more mature tone that you got with kid friendly anecdotes throughout the entire thing. And I think what it was able to do with technology and bring it to life in this Toontown type of situation. And I mean, let's be honest about it. It is a nod to Hollywood and the entertainment industry in this film as well. And it's just so freaking fun, man. And the wife, what was
Jessica
her name
Rabbit.
again?
Yeah.
Jessica
Kathleen
Rabbit.
Turner.
Like, oh my gosh. Like, Betty Boop ain't got nothing on Jessica
No,
Rabbit.
I mean, Jessica Rabbit was damn near falling out of her dress the entire movie, and she was sultry and like,
bro,
yeah.
come on. Like, that is wild. But yeah, number 5 for me, Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Yeah.
Absolutely iconic. I didn't know it came out in the 80s, but 1988, so that's fun.
Yep. Okay, my number 5 pretty much follows along those lines, but it is rated R. It was one of the first rated R movies from Disney. Not the first, but one of the first. And it was certainly controversial because it's a film about prostitution. Literally, it's about a prostitute trying to get off the street. And obviously, Disney's like, even under our Touchstone banner, do we want to touch this? This might not be... I know we want to go more adult, but do we really want to like? And of course, I'm talking about Pretty Woman, which ended up becoming one of the most all-time iconic romantic comedies ever, right? It's one of the best films, soundtrack-wise, acting-wise, storyline-wise. It's got some of the best one-liners, the best interaction between characters, and brilliantly directed by Gary Marshall, legend in Hollywood at the time. It's still, although he's passed. It just, yeah, this movie, man, it was a risk by far, and the story changed a little bit here or there to try to make it so that Disney was comfortable with it. There were some things that Gary was adamant about not changing, though, and he wanted it certain ways. And but yeah, my number 5, Pretty Woman. I think it's hard to argue that this is like a rite of passage type movie. I feel like everybody has to see this film. It's like one of those must-see films that everybody at some point in their life has seen. Yeah, Pretty Woman. Just Julia Roberts, a very young Julia Roberts, and Richard Gere and Hector Elizondo. The oh my God, there's so many great people. Cinda fucking Rella. There's so much good shit in this movie, man. And yeah, I had to put it on my list. Number 5 for me, Pretty Woman.
Ah, so good, man. So good. Number 4 for me goes to Shanghai Noon.
Ooh.
With Owen Wilson and Jackie Chan. Oh my goodness. Both of these, obviously Owen Wilson is coming off the success of the Wes Anderson, startup,
Yep.
which became obviously cult classic. And Jackie Chan is coming off the success of Rush Hour. Both of these stars are so lovable, so likable, and then plus you get a little bit of cowboys, and not Indians, but Chinese people who historically came over to the country, to the Wild West, and began to build our railroad systems,
Yeah.
which I don't know if a lot of people know about, because it's loosely based around that. And I mean, you got some Native American culture in there as well, but just to have this film like represent the old west and bad cowboys, and just I love cowboys and I love what they represent and the films that are made about them. So when this one came out with both of these iconic stars, when I was 2000, I was 4 when this
Shut
came out, but
up.
I'm
Shut
sure I saw it very young. But it's always been a fun one that I can still go back to this day. It's not the best movie, but it's just supposed to be fun. It's an action comedy that definitely fulfills what it's meant to do. So yeah, number 4 for me, Shanghai Noon.
There you go. I love it. Really good choice, and obscure choice.
Yes.
That's really good. My number 4 is an epic war film. I think in one of my opinions, the cinematography and the way this thing was shot is absolutely beautiful. It is a beautifully shot film. Just epic in the tone and the scenery and the camera angles, and the way they pull off this film cinematically is just beautiful. And I mean, the attack, obviously on Pearl Harbor, that sequence of events and that scene is just incredible. But why I think this is on my list and why I think it's one of my favorite films, it's funny because it kind of touches back onto what you said, that Richard Donner's advice that he gives to people is, as long as you focus on the love story. Well, this is a story about war and a story about the U.S. being attacked and a lot of people dying at Pearl Harbor. But at the heart of this film is the love story. And it's interesting because it's a love triangle between these 3 focal characters, 2 pilots and a nurse, and a love story that untimely ends because one has passed, and a new love story begins, and then, the one that passed ain't really dead. So it just becomes one of this infinite yielding love story in the middle of a war. Very Casablanca-esque, very so it's why I think it works so well. And of course, it's Ben Affleck and Josh Hartnett, who I think this movie really kind of launched Josh Hartnett to superstardom at that point. It's really the first, in my opinion, kind of definitive step away for Affleck, away from Matt Damon, right? There's so many reasons why this film works. And then, of course, Kate Beckinsale was riding high because of all of her vampire, she was like the it girl at the moment. And a lot of people don't know this, but fact, a lot of people think that Ben Affleck and Jennifer Garner met during Elektra and Daredevil. No, they met in Pearl Harbor. Jennifer Garner had a small little role in Pearl Harbor, and that's where they actually met. Didn't get together then. It was years later, but that is where they actually first met. So there you go, little piece of history. Pearl Harbor, guys. Just fantastic film. If you've never checked it out, it is a really beautiful film. I can't say enough about it. Pearl Harbor, my number 4.
Nice. Yeah, I think she was like a nurse or something.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Just like blink and you miss her, but there she is, you know?
Exactly. Number 3 for me goes to The Three Musketeers. And I'm talking about the 1993 version, not that 2011 Logan Lerman bullshit. I'm talking about
Hey, don't be dissing Logan Lerman, though. That's not his fault.
Bro,
the film I get, but yeah.
I freaking love this Three Musketeers movie. It's so good, and like my next dog, not to like kill off Peanut, I'm gonna name D'Artagnan because that's such a sexy, awesome name. Like D'Artagnan is such like a like okay. Anyway, the cast obviously Charlie Sheen, Kiefer Sutherland, Chris O'Donnell, Oliver Platt,
Yes.
Tim Curry, Rebecca De Mornay, and so many freaking others. Man, I love old school France. I think it's a really cool time. I love the time in history where obviously the United States tries to separate from Great Britain, and then of course France and Paris and all of the other countries are trying to separate from Great Britain, and this is kind of on the cusp of that. It's supposed to be France in 1625, where the Musketeers are the King's Guard, basically, and I love the whole storyline of protecting the King's Guard. And then, of course, there's an evil freaking cardinal who comes in and wants to take over and run things himself, who is played by Tim Curry himself, who plays it phenomenally. I love this film. It's on repeat all the time. So many classic lines in this thing, and it's beautiful. Like an IMDb, I'm looking it up right now, and they have these beautiful like black and white still shots. I want to frame every single one of these and put them in my office.
Yeah.
But this film means a lot to me because it's one that I grew up with. But yeah, it's one of my all-time favorite Disney movies, if not one of my all-time favorites of all time. Number 3, Three Musketeers.
And this movie, I think, cemented to the fact of a lot of people, or educated a lot of people in the fact that the Three Musketeers were actually 4.
4 Musketeers.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that, but this film highlighted the fact that it's 4. Yeah, you know, there's a reason why it's 3, but it's 4.
Exactly.
And Oliver Platt is the most unlikely. Right? Like, I love Oliver Platt. If you guys haven't checked him out in The Bear yet, just phenomenal in The Bear. But everything I've ever seen this guy in, he's outstanding.
So
one
good.
of my favorite actors. And yeah, phenomenal.
He plays such a funny role in that, too.
He does. That's what I'm saying. It was like the most unlikely casting and yet works brilliantly in it. My number 3 is not only one of my all-time favorite Disney movies, it's on my list and close to the top of one of my all-time favorite movies, period. It's also, in my opinion, the definitive dramatic role for Robin Williams. I think he should have won the Oscar for this well before he won it for Good Will Hunting. This cemented him as, oh shit, he's not just a comedian. This guy can act. This guy's a Juilliard trained actor. And I'm talking, of course, about Dead Poets Society. Oh, Captain, my Captain. I cannot say enough about this film and why it's on the list. These are brilliant performances by literally everybody that acts in it. It's like literally, I mean, the cast is just, I mean, everybody's in it, and they're all young. They're all youngins, you know. But it's the performance of Robin Williams that just tears at you. And you see the powerful emotion, and I don't want to say it the wrong way, but I really feel like going back now and watching this film, you can almost see the pain that man is going through or was going through in real life. It's evident in this film when you watch it now that nobody saw, that nobody knew, that nobody just like, you know, and that's sad because I think the performance that he delivers in this film is because of what he was really dealing with, and it just shines in this film. And the irony of the fact that this film deals with suicide, and like, it's just, I don't know, I can't say enough about it, but I'm pretty sure all of our listeners, except maybe the real youngins, have seen this film. It's like a must see if you haven't seen it. But yeah, my number 3, not just one of my favorite Disney, but one of my all-time favorite films, period, Dead Poets Society. And if you haven't seen it, what the fuck? Give it a watch. You'll be glad you did.
Yeah, one of my favorite memories is that day that you and I just started to watch 2 movies back to back, and one of them was Unforgiven and then Dead Poet Society.
Yeah.
Like 2 phenomenal films that we, yeah, just sat down, hammered out. I think Emily was like out on vacation or at work or something.
Yeah.
And we was just like, let's fucking like watch some good old fashioned cinema. And yeah,
2
so
drastically different films with very similar storylines, though.
Yeah, right.
Which was very, that was kind of, but just goes to show you, brilliant filmmaking is brilliant filmmaking. And yeah, that's one of my favorite days too, watching those back to back.
Yeah, it was very cool. Number 2 for me is Homeward Bound. I'm seeing a trend with it's all childhood, that's for sure. It's ones that I had on repeat in childhood, and Homeward Bound was one of those because as a man, you always want a man's best friend, a dog, a companion, especially while you're growing up, especially if your parents are not together and you have a step parent, which this deals heavily with. But Homeward Bound, the dogs are the animals, because there's 2 dogs, one older dog, a young dog who's rambunctious, and then a wickedly smart cat. And they go stay at their I think it's like their aunt or whatever, like while the family's on holiday, and then the animals think their parents are never coming back, and then they decide to go look for their parents, and they get lost in the wilderness, and it's the journey of finding them on the way home. A younger Jean Smart is in this.
Yeah.
She is freaking phenomenal in it. But yeah, I love it too because it's the sense of family. It's the sense of wanting to be with the people who made you who you are. And every time I watch it, it's one of those things where like you just never have to give up on people because you have an older dog who is towards the end of his life and he doesn't give up so he can get back home. You have this younger dog who everybody gets annoyed with, but he actually just doesn't know how to channel his feelings or his energy. So you have to learn how to adapt to him. And then you have the cat who is a know-it-all, but you realize that it's a defense mechanism. And you see different parts of yourself in these animals, and it's portrayed so brilliantly. And I love that it was done with real animals. Like it wasn't CGI, it wasn't live action meets animation. It was real animals, and what they were able to do on set with these real animals, I think, was beautiful. It's one of my all-time favorites. So yeah, number 2 for me, Homeward Bound for sure.
There you go. Beautiful. And great explanation too. Really like how you broke that down.
I teared up. It was so good.
It's really good. A lot of people don't realize animals, back in the day, they were the stars.
I mean, Air Bud, a whole freaking franchise.
Literal. Even way back in old school Hollywood, Rin Tin Tin and Lassie and Mr. Ed and like legit animals, not CGI shit, legit animals. And kudos to the trainers who get these dogs to perform, or these animals in general, to perform the way they perform. Like, it's not where you just put it in the computer and make it happen. It's like, no, these were real animals.
Completely agree.
Okay, my number 2, because like you, I love me some cowboys. I love some good Western. And in my opinion, and I think many people would agree with me, although Unforgiven is definitely up there. This is probably the best Western ever made, in my opinion. Just hands down, I think it definitively sets the bar. And there's been some really good ones, but this one, for me, Tombstone. Just, Jesus Christ, there's so much to love about this movie. everything about this movie, the entire cast, everybody from the Earp family, just the storyline, how they break it down, the behind-the-scenes struggle of this film about how it ran out of money and Kurt Russell had to carry it basically to the finish line himself financially, to make it happen and get it all done. And then obviously, Sam Elliott and Bill Paxton and Kurt Russell and like just this Jason Priestley at the time who was trying to break free from the 90210 kind of but all of it, right? But for me, obviously, the standout, this is the definitive Val Kilmer at his best. I mean, some people would argue it's The Doors. Some people, Jim Morrison was fantastic. Iceman was brilliant in The Saint. But for me, this is it, man. Doc Holliday, I'm your Huckleberry. That forever stands out in my... Whenever I'm about to get into some shit with somebody, that's in my head. I'm your Huckleberry. I'm about to fuck you up. That's my shit. And I think just the way he pulled off the tuberculosis, the way that he pulled off and this idea that he eventually went on to have the throat cancer and all the kind of stuff, even when he pulls off this phenomenal tuberculosis and dying man, just the irony of it all in that sense. But it's just, it's one of the most incredible Westerns, story-wise, acting-wise, cinematography, pacing, just everything works about this film in a way that you just get fired up. It's one of those films, I don't know about you, but like if I'm flipping through and it's on, I stop and watch it. I'm like, I know I was doing this, but I got to finish watching this now. It's just one of those films. And I'll go back at least once a year and watch it. Like I'm watching Tombstone today. It's one of those films. So my number 2, Tombstone. And again, like my number 3, probably one of my all-time favorite films. Not just Disney, but all time. It's epic, man. It's epic.
For sure. Yeah. Awesome. I love it. Well, number 1 for me is Oliver and Company. A lot of people, gravitate towards Aladdin, Lion King, all of these different animated ones. Oliver and Company is my favorite one. It's based in New York City. I absolutely love New York City. It's probably my favorite city of all. The lights, the feeling in the concrete jungle, it's amazing. It's something like never before seen. But I think this film, it's orphans finding orphans. It's family members finding family when they're not blood related. It's so much of that, finding who you are and where you belong in the world. And there's so much good music in it as well.
Yeah.
Because the one and only Billy Joel is in this bad boy. And it's my favorite Billy Joel song that he sings in this song. The Why Should I Worry? Why Should I Care? It's such a good freaking vibe. And his character in the film, Dodger, is such a cool dog who's taking this this cat underneath his wing to mentor him through the nitty-gritty streets of New York City. And it's just such a good, wholesome family film that also came out in 1988. Well, it must be a special year for me or something. But it looks like, I didn't know this, Tim Disney actually helped write this bad boy, and I'm trying to figure out the lineage on that. Maybe I can put that in the YouTube video as well. But yeah, it's interesting to see important stories that are important for people who actually work at Disney and are from the Disney family. So that's always very fun. But yeah, absolutely love Oliver and Company, my all-time favorite Disney movie. Boom, drop mic.
There you go. And mine is I think, a lot of people's all-time favorite Disney movie, and you would think because it's newer, not, it's been a while. I'm not talking about the live action. I'm talking about the original, but The Lion King. I just think this is the epitome of epic story of family and circle of life. This is what it's all about, literally all about. The circle of life and finding the joy, even the down times and the sorrow and the importance of family, and that life is short and that you got to get out there and live it, and that, it's it's literally identifiable for every single human being on the face of the planet. Yeah, if you don't identify with this film, just you're not human. That's all I can say. It's everything a story should be, and there's a reason why it did what it did, and why it was so successful, and why everything. I feel like not just animated films after it, but live action, and I think it's the tone that set the bar of what all those films try to reach in achieving what that film achieved, and it's just another one of those. Also caused the the demise of the partnership with Jeffrey Katzenberg and Michael Eisner. Yeah, but that's another story here nor there. It did what it was supposed to do and helped launch DreamWorks. So, Disney, but helped launch DreamWorks. The Lion King, man, it's my number one. It's my all-time favorite Disney film. And there's obviously, I mean, I think you could just put so many on the list, but for me,
So many.
it's definitive storytelling, even though it's animated. That's why I love it so much. It's just spot on storytelling, which, as you guys know, as a filmmaker, that's my driving. That's what drives my engine: the dialogue, the drama, the story behind the visual, and this one kills it. So number one for me, Lion King.
It may or may not be the best animated film of all time.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that's where we're at with
I
that
mean,
film.
for
And
sure.
people when they think of animated film, and especially Disney, they think of The Lion King.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
there's no doubt about it.
Yeah, it supplanted Snow White.
Yeah,
Right, because that was the granddaddy. That's the first feature-length animated film, and Disney, of course, did that one too. And that was the bar. But I think as animation was dying, and everybody was just, they didn't do it anymore, it was Disney's goal to bring it back. Hence, Jeffrey Katzenberg and Michael Eisner going, how do we bring it back? And the launch of Walt Disney Animation and The Lion King. Little Mermaid and The Lion King were like the catalyst of, if these don't work, animation is dead. And yet, there we go. Probably, like you said now, the greatest animated film of all time. So it worked.
Exactly, man. Exactly. Well, we want to know, what is your favorite Disney film or Touchstone or Hollywood Studios, anything that's underneath the Disney banner?
Yes.
Please be sure to let us know in the YouTube comment section. Add us on social media. Please, we love the fan interaction, and we want to know, what is your favorite Disney movie? Oh my goodness. But now we are heading over to the box office recap, where July, man oh man, has been the month for the box office. That's for sure. Because Jurassic World Rebirth came in at $92 million last week, with number 2 being F1 the movie with $26 million. Probably the most successful, most publicized, I would say, Apple project, so kudos to them. How to Train Your Dragon still hanging in there at 3rd place with $11 million. Elio, which I'm surprised it's still in top 5, is at number 4 with $5.7 million. And then number 5 last week was 28 Years Later with $4.6 million. So yeah, that makes sense. And of course, the new movies that come out this weekend, nothing else wanted to touch the man that could fly, Superman. That is for sure. Get out and see Superman. Please be sure to do so. We need it. We need this for the summer box office, and survive until July. That should have been the phrase. Not until 25. Survive until July, because that's what Hollywood needed. That's for sure. Movies you can still go see right now at select theaters near you. We got The Materialists. We got Megan 2.0. We got Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, Ballerina, and Final Destination: Bloodlines. So you know what's funny? I listened to a podcast with James Blum about Megan 2.0, and he was like, listen, we fucked up. Okay, we should not have Terminator 2 this, because that's what they did. He was like, we realized that the audience didn't want that, and it was too late. So he came on The Town, the industry news podcast that I love. He came on the podcast and was like, as much as people celebrate their wins and are out in front talking about their wins, us as creators need to be out there talking about our failures as well.
Sure.
Because we talk about how all the time it's important to learn from your failures, but not a lot of people like to show and represent their failures. But he was like, no, I want to come on your podcast. He called Matt Bellany himself and was like, hey, can we sit down today and talk about this? So huge respect and yeah, kudos to Jason Blum for getting out there and ahead of it. But
Well, I
yeah,
mean,
those are some movies you can still go see right now if
yeah.
you are willing.
Success comes from failure.
Exactly.
So you got to talk about the failures too, you know? And I feel bad for Jurassic World.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say it because I saw, you know, when we were talking about at the top of the show, the numbers that Superman is putting up, Jurassic World is going to fall 50 to 60% in its second weekend. And then, of course, you know, you got one more weekend and nothing really, but I Know What You Did Last Summer. You might get some old school Jennifer Love Hewitt fans.
Nothing crazy.
But then you got Fantastic Four. So Jurassic World did what it had to do, which was make all of its money up front in its first weekend. But it's going to, like, I think that 50 to 60% drop will be another 30 to 40% drop the next weekend, and it's going to fade quick, unfortunately, I think it looks like. I think Superman will dominate for the first 2 weeks, for the next 2 weeks, this weekend, next weekend. You know what I'm really curious about? Because Superman is getting so much love, and it is doing so well, and you really only have that I Know What You Did Last Summer thing. Will Fantastic Four be the first Marvel movie to not open at number one? Can Superman stave it off?
That would be crazy.
That would be crazy because you're talking 30 plus films all opening at number one. It's an unheard of record for Marvel. Will it be the first Marvel film to not open at number one? And I'm thinking the way Superman is performing, it might be close. It might be close. I'm just saying. I don't know.
No, I say no. I'm going to go on record and say no.
You think Fantastic Four will open at number one?
Oh, yeah.
I think so too, but I think it's going to be close. I think Superman will still be capping in like the 30 or $40 million range, and Fantastic Four will do like 85, I think, something like that.
You don't think it'll crack 100 million?
Maybe now, because of the resurgence of people loving superhero shit because of Superman right now. So maybe now. If Superman had failed, I think Fantastic Four doesn't crack 100 million. I think it falls into that 65 to 85 million where Marvel has been sitting recently. But because of the success of Superman, they might capitalize off that. That might, at least in like I said, my audience cheered when the trailer came on for it.
Right.
So those people are going to pour out to see it. So, and this is a good thing, right? Isn't this what we always talk about? We want them both to succeed. Yes. We want them to propel each other to success. Like, you know, and so if Superman can do that for Fantastic Four, fuck yeah, I'm all for it.
Exactly. Yeah, I think it'll crack 100 million because I believe Captain America Brave New World was sitting at like 90. I think that's kind of where Thunderbolts was sitting too. And I think the interest is more for Fantastic Four than it was for those other two movies. So I'm definitely I'm on the glass half full with it breaking 100 million.
You know why I think it will too? Why I'm kind of with you? I'm going to credit completely to Vanessa Kirby.
Yeah.
And here's why. Pedro questioned his casting. He wasn't even he was the last one cast out of the four, in case people didn't know. And he questioned it. He's like, me? I'm not Reed Richards. I'm not like even, and he just didn't understand the character. He admittingly. But if you've been watching all these interviews and all the press that they've been doing, apparently Vanessa Kirby went and just researched the hell out of the Fantastic Four. The comic books, the history, the creators were like, and she understood. She said, they're called Marvel's first family. It is all about family. And she said, I want to meet you. I want to get to know you. I want to get intimate. I want to be, because that has to translate. That has to come across. And he credits her. He's like, she took me in and she took control. And I think Fantastic Four is going to work because you see it. You see that it's a family. When they're doing these little red carpet events, in the trailer, you see where they're hugging each other and they do the little nose. They're fucking doing that on the red carpet. She's giving him the little nose rub and she's holding his hand. And I think it's going to kill because the family aspect is going to come across.
For sure, man, for sure. Well, heading over to the IMDb Pro's Top Trending segment. Of course, the top trending movie is Jurassic World Rebirth, the top trending show is Squid Game, and the top trending star is Michael Madsen.
Yeah, for the
So
wrong
that is
reasons, but
all freaking fantastic, man. Well, we have to thank you one more time for listening to ITCAF Podcast for 300 episodes. It's been
crazy.
phenomenal. Of course, be sure to follow the company and podcast on social media at ITCAFpodcast at all social media platforms. The company is at Crazy Ant Media on all social media platforms. And then, of course, our mental health podcast at Everything's OKP on social media platforms. But then you can both follow us both on social media. Myself at J
Both of you
Logan
out there.
Austin and
At Crazy Ant CEO.
that's right, man. That's right. And of course, you can subscribe to this podcast anywhere you listen to your podcast. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Stitcher, and so much more. And be sure to hit that like button on the YouTube video, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell for all the latest and greatest notifications coming out of Crazy Ant Media. If you are a listener and not a watcher, please do yourself a favor and go watch the videos as well. It's a lot of fun. You get to see our reactions in live time. It's really, really something special, that's for sure. And then, of course, be sure to visit our website, www.crazyantmedia.com, where you can get a little something for a little bit of everyone in our merchandise. And man, oh man, it's been an amazing 300 episodes. And I'm super excited to see where this podcast continues to go and grow and do all the amazing things. And yeah, just super blessed, man. We're super blessed.
I would agree. I can't wait to have it go for as long as we can make it go. And it's been an incredible ride so far. I think it's got some legs. It's got an engine that can, and we're gonna keep going. And yeah, it's a beautiful thing. I'm so, yeah. I'm right there with you. Just blessed every day to get to do what we do, and to be able to do it together, and just have it be what it is. I just love it. And I want to really say, Superman, go see it. Look up, go see it. But people just live like that. Like Corn Sweat's been saying it, and the character says it, and it's what the character stands for, and it's just live a good life, be a good human, wake up and say, what can I do for somebody today that can change their life? What can I do to just be an inherently good person? We need that right now in the world, guys. That's why this film is so important, why this message is so important, and just be good people, love everybody, do the right thing, and just I can't stress it enough. And go see the movie. Go see the movie.
That's right. That's right. You never know. There may be a special cameo from the one, the only
Oprah!
She's Ultraman.